Thanks for joining this morning, everyone. Appreciate you taking some time out of your day. My name is Lauren. I am the founder of Unleashed Coaching and Reprogramming, and I work with female leaders who are in male-dominated environments. I help them with their subconscious programming, which is holding them back. Things like imposter syndrome, low confidence, boundaries, perfectionism, people-pleasing. A lot of the things get programmed into us as women through the lens, the additional lens of, being in environments that are dominated by men. They're not necessarily built by us and for us. And so how that affects how we're able to kind of show up in the world. I use a combination of different tools. So I use clarity coaching, energy psychology, some NLP, principles of hypnosis, mentoring, strategy, and so on. I am ex-Amazon and ex-Disney, so I've got a lot of experience of working in these kind of environments, and I bring all of these things together to help women to really kind of thrive better in the spaces that we're in. What we're going to talk about today is how to get out of your own way. So, this idea that when we have a conscious desire to do something, and then basically our subconscious mind gets in the way and kind of holds us back. And we can feel ourselves stopping ourselves from doing it. So we're going to do a little bit of digging into what's going on, understanding a little bit more about when we do get in our own way and what might be behind it. I'm then going to take you through a demonstration of EFT, or tapping as it's also known, which is the energy psychology I'm accredited in. And that's going to help. I'll show you kind of how you can start to clear some of the blocks and keep yourself kind of motivated and moving forward by using that tool. There is a chat box and a Q&A box. So as we go through, I'm just going to ask you guys for a little bit of feedback on what's going on. And if you're open to it, please do share in the chat box. There's no obligation to do so. And then if you've got any specific questions, if you can drop them into the Q&A box, then that means I can just make sure that I grab them all by the time we get to the end. And yeah, that's kind of how we'll go today. So I just ask everyone to bring an energy of openness and compassion. That's compassion, not just towards anything that anyone else is sharing, but most importantly, compassion towards ourselves. So very much kind of holding a space that is judgment-free, and where you can really just give yourself permission to acknowledge what's going on with you, and give yourself permission to actually start doing a bit of self-reflection, because sometimes, particularly for us women, it can be very difficult to give ourselves that time. It can feel a little bit like a luxury. So just allow yourselves that space right now to kind of start exploring what might be going on. If you've got like a journal, pen and paper, or just your laptop, but somewhere where you can make some notes is super helpful. So just to kind of tell you a bit more about tapping, or EFT, so that stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and how that works, because that's what we're going to use a little bit of today. So it basically brings together principles of modern psychology and ancient Chinese principles of energy meridian medicine, essentially, as well as kind of overlaid on top of that is NLP as well. And essentially what we do in a tapping session is we pay attention to, and we kind of key into the negative or charged emotion that we might be holding on to. We tap on our meridian points while we focus on that. And what that enables us to do is actually to release energy that we're holding. What tends to happen to us as humans still is that when we go into a state of, when we experience a stress or a trauma, and a trauma can be something that's very large, but actually our bodies don't really know the difference between a big trauma and a small one. We still respond in a very similar way. We still have the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response, which is our kind of response to stresses. Our bodies don't know the difference between getting attacked by a tiger and having a distressing conversation with our bosses, or feeling very, very stressed about the amount of things that we have to do at home, for example. we don't really know the difference, but we still have the same response, which is where we have this buildup of energy and this buildup of tension that is designed to essentially save our lives. And that's why we go into particularly fight, flight, and freeze are kind of the most common responses that we have. What happens is that nowadays we don't tend to actually release that energy from our system. We don't tend to have a way to let that stress go, because we're very rarely are we able to actually fight or run. More often than not, we tend to go into a freeze state. What would normally happen kind of in the wild, and this is what happens if you see this a lot with animals who go into a freeze state, is that there's a kind of tremor that runs through and a shaking off of all of that stored energy, which again we don't really have. So it tends to get stuck. What happens is that over time it causes like these kind of small fractures essentially in our subconscious, and those little fractured parts of us learn lessons about what is safe and what isn't safe. And they then start kind of taking charge of what we're doing, because they have a belief that certain situations are safe and certain situations are unsafe. And they're really trying to keep us safe as much as is humanly possible. What we're doing with EFT is by kind of tapping into those moments that we're facing and those feelings that we're still holding on to, we can actually allow them to, that stress to like move through our body and to actually leave. And then we can actually resolve the blocks that we're holding on to. So just the simple motion of the tapping activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for bringing calm. But by incorporating the other principles of kind of NLP and the more psychological intervention, we're able to actually process and release kind of old blocks that we have in our systems. So that's how we use EFT. So I'm going to take you guys through that a little bit today. The first thing I want you to do now, just before we get into that, is just kind of tap into how you're feeling. Just like bring it in, bring a little bit of awareness, start reflecting a little bit internally. And particularly think about, you know, when you see an event like this and when you think about, right, I really need to get out of my own way. Have a think about how you feel about that. What comes up for you? And how does it make you feel when you think about the possibility of being in your own way? And then if you're open to it, just drop anything into the chat box so we can see how everyone's showing up today. Frustrated, yeah. Yeah, it is that real feeling of frustration that comes across for all of us, you know, when we have something that we want to do, we know it's important, we identify it as a thing that is necessary for us to do, or something that we have a desire to do, and for whatever reason, you know, we start a habit, we don't follow through, we find ourselves procrastinating or doing something else instead, and we're not actually moving forward, demotivated. Yeah. And that all comes from this, right? You know, we sort of don't really end up being able to get there. And so we constantly have this feeling of, but this is where I want to go and I'm not getting there, and why am I not, and what's even the point? And this is because we've got something kind of in the subconscious that is essentially stopping us. So when your subconscious mind and your conscious mind are like, if you imagine your subconscious mind is driving the bus and your conscious mind is in charge of directions, and if your subconscious mind is like, no, I don't want to go that way, it's in charge, it's going to drive you a different way. Stuck in a bad feedback loop. Okay. Jennifer's feeling open. That's great. Okay. So just have a think about how you'd like to feel by the end of this. Like when we finish up, how would you like to feel about this? Okay. Not so overwhelmed. Like a weight starting to lift from my shoulders. Okay. Not being my own way or have the tools to get better at it. More clarity. Okay. Okay. So we're just going to dive straight in and do a little bit of EFT. So I'm going to show you kind of how to do it, and kind of take you through we're going to do like a really simple. We'll just do like a really kind of simple bit of EFT now, and then we're going to dive in a little bit more in a minute. So I just want you to just get settled, and I want you to kind of sit with intention. So you're sort of sitting, supporting yourself. You're not kind of like slumping too much down. Just be comfortable, but just sit with a little bit of intention. I just want you to put your hands on your heart, just here, and just connect with yourself. Close your eyes and just take a nice, slow, deep breath in and let it out. Take another deep breath in, and if you can, imagine that your shoulders are being gently held down and the breath is filling your belly instead. So we're not bringing our shoulders up to our ears and then let out. One more nice deep breath in. And as you let it out, just let the tension that you're holding drop. Any tension that you can feel, just let it go. I'm just going to take a moment to get connected. So just imagine from whatever part of you is connected to the chair or to the floor. Just imagine you've got a beam of light traveling from underneath you. It's traveling all the way down into the center of the earth, and it's spreading roots like it's a tree. And those roots of light are just moving into the earth, are connecting you, really grounding you. So you feel very supported by this beautiful roots of light and very connected. And just see that light travel up now through your body, out through the top of your head. It's going up into the universe, all the way up. And it's connecting you with a star above your head. And just feel that light really connecting you above and grounding you below. Very supported, loving light that's surrounding you. Feel very safe. Feel very calm. Just allow yourself this moment to really take in that energy and let go of anything that you might be holding on to that's not serving you at the moment. And just set your intention now for what you want for the next hour and how you want to feel at the end. Just set that intention with yourself. Take another nice breath in. And just come back and open your eyes. So we're going to start doing our EFT session now. So I want you to just start rubbing basically just underneath the collarbone. See my terrible chipped fingernails when I do this. Just underneath your collarbone, it's called the sore spot. So basically it's a lymph node that we have. So it should be around about here, and it feels a little bit tender usually just before we start. And you're just going to rub that gently. And what I want you to do is you're just going to follow along with what I do. You're just going to repeat after me. Repeat what I say, and you're going to just tailor it to you and what you are feeling at the moment. So just say it out loud if you can, if you're in a space where you can do that, but otherwise you can just say it in your head and that's fine. So even though I'm feeling frustrated, demotivated, like I've got this weight on me, I'm open to letting that go now. Even though I've been feeling frustrated and motivated for a while, and I feel like I'm in my own way, I'm ready to embrace the possibility of, just say what you like to embrace, feeling positive, feeling clear, letting go of this weight. Even though I've got this feeling of frustration, demotivation, and I just keep getting in my own way, I'm ready to let that go. And I'm ready to embrace feeling positive and feeling clear. And so now we just start tapping here. Start tapping. Yep. In the middle of your just where your eyebrows meet your brow bone. And just repeat after me. This feeling of frustration, demotivation. Got this feeling. So frustrated. Just feel like I'm always in my own way. Can't seem to get out of my own way. And that makes me feel, just say how that makes you feel. I know I want to do something. I know I want to do things, but I keep stopping myself. I don't know why. I'm just constantly in my own way. Or I'm sometimes in my own way. And it's frustrating. Feeling really frustrated, demotivated. I get annoyed at myself because I can't seem to get in my own way. Just always in my own way. Even though I know what I need to do. Sometimes I just can't seem to get it done. And it's annoying, it's frustrating. I get cross with myself. But I'm open to something different now. I'm open to the possibility of starting to get out of my way. I'm open to the possibility of a clear path forward. I'm ready to embrace the possibility of supporting myself and enabling myself to let this happen. And I'm ready to feel more clarity. I'm ready to feel more possibility. And I'm really open to that now. Just take a deep breath. So this is just our opening session that we do, just to kind of, we're just, like I say, we're tapping into that feeling that's going on. We're kind of opening ourselves up to moving past it, and giving us the space to explore a little bit more deeply what it is that's going on with us. So now I want to get a little bit more specific with you. So just start to think about what in particular is going on right now where you are in your own way. If there is, is there one particular project or one particular thing? Is it a particular part of your life? Just think about what it is that's going on. And then if you're, if you can just share that in the chat, then that would be great. Okay. So now you've hopefully got a bit of an idea of when you're in your, of what it is that's going on. When in particular do you get in your own way? Emily says she needs to get on and do the work I need to do. Yeah. So is there any time in particular that you find that you get in your own way? And that you have something you need to get done and it just feels impossible? Like, are there particular things that might be going on, particular environments, specific things within, Ebony says get on and do the work I need to do. So is it specific things within work? Is it when there's too much work? Sometimes it can be when there's not enough work. What is it that's what specifically is kind of going on? I seem to do everything apart from what needs to be done. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So focusing on the unimportant things. And so yeah, so that's the next question. Like what is it that happens? Jennifer says, I'm writing a book and I keep procrastinating. Okay. So what is it that happens when you procrastinate, or when you're not doing the things? Is it that you procrastinate? And if so, what does that procrastination look like? Is it I have to clean every single part of the house before I can possibly sit down and focus? That can sometimes be mine. Is it that I just kind of sit and zone out, and we'll just kind of like zone out with something like Netflix or whatever, and I'm not allowing myself to focus? Is it that I get in my own way by insisting everything has to be perfect? Because that can also be how we kind of sabotage ourselves. Yeah, do I focus on things that are unimportant? And if so, what are those things? So just dig a little bit deeper into what it is that kind of the reaction is. I distract myself, I clean the whole house, find anything else to do other than the work I should be doing. Okay. Yeah, that's super common. So all of these kind of responses that we have, so that kind of freeze response can be one of them. The procrastination is usually a form of perfectionism, essentially. Then there's perfectionism as it sort of seems to appear more commonly, which is I have to do everything perfectly, because procrastination can sometimes be a fear of being unable to do it perfectly. So they're kind of two sides of the same coin. Yeah, I clean the house, I cook, I garden. I'm afraid that my book may not be good enough. Yeah, Jennifer, this is it. So this is what we're kind of trying to get deeper into. It's like there's something that's deeper that's in our way, and that's really what we kind of want to start to explore. So I'm going to come back a bit in a little bit. I'm going to come a little bit more into this kind of deeper level of fear, but bear with me, we'll definitely kind of come through and explore that a little bit more. Yeah, so I mean, these responses they're essentially just forms of the kind of stress and trauma response. So we go, I'm my own worst enemy, I like being busy to the point I take on too much, and then because I'm overwhelmed I switch off. A very vicious circle. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this can be it as well. Like, so the switching off, that's the freeze response as a result of the overwhelm. And we just kind of imagine you're just like retreating back into a shell and you're sitting very, very still, hoping that nothing kind of finds you there. Ebony says, relieved I'm not the only one. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's what's powerful about these groups is, you kind of get to really see that a lot of us are dealing with very, very different things, but actually the root of them ends up being very similar. And we're kind of a lot of it kind of in this together. So think now about the thing that's going on. So so Jennifer, I'm going to use your book as an example, because I think that's a great one. So when you're thinking about the thing that you need to do, be it writing a book, how far down the path is it that you end up focusing? Like, where are you focusing when you start thinking about it not being something that's possible? Are you thinking kind of 10, 15, 20 steps ahead? And just think about how far in advance of where you are now your brain is going when you tend to kind of feel a little bit stuck. And now I just want you to tap into like, what is Jennifer says, I worry about approaching publishers. Okay. So this is actually a really great example. Jennifer, thank you for sharing this, because this is actually a really great illustration of the situation. So what we also have a tendency to do is we tend to worry about a thing that is like quite far in the future. Because what you said, Jennifer, is that you're still in the process of writing the book, and that's the thing that you're stopping yourself from doing. And that's because what we do is we like jump ahead and we go, oh, approaching publishers, that's going to be really difficult, so I'm not even going to write it in the first place. So just think now about where you are right now, what is the one next step that you need to take? Just one that will get you a little bit closer to the end. And just as you write it down, just reflect on how you feel about it versus that thing that's kind of 15, 20 steps further down the road. Do you feel a little bit differently about it? Does it feel a bit more possible? Okay. Now we're going to just tap into what it might feel like if you didn't have this kind of whether it's your perfectionism or your procrastination or whatever it might be. So Jennifer says she needs to finish the last chapter and then edit. Yeah, so that's one next step. So that's the thing I want you to kind of focus a little bit on, is like, just what is each next one thing that you need to do, rather than kind of really far ahead with each thing that you do. Just look at that and say, what do I need to do in order to get this one thing done, and how can I manage that? And sometimes just by kind of chipping away at it little by little, that's how we end up being able to get there, because we're not worrying about the huge task at the end. We're just worrying about the one small thing that we can do, and that starts to feel a little bit more achievable. But just connect now, like, how would it feel if you didn't have this? If you didn't have this, like, worry about being able to succeed at this, if you weren't having this procrastinating, like, what would you be able to do differently or better than you're currently able to do? And see now if you can think about when this feeling is worse and when it's better. Are there certain things that happen that exacerbate it? Whether that's certain people, certain situations, mitigating factors. It's worse when I've got lots and lots of other things to think about. It's worse when so-and-so triggers me. Taryn says, I actually might have some fun doing the work because I do like the work. Yeah, great. And this is it. This is what we can kind of open up when we're able to kind of sort of have our subconscious walking next to us and supporting us, rather than standing in the way going, no, it's dangerous that way. It's worse when I have too much to do. Yeah, okay. I feel triggered when people ask me how the book is getting on. Okay, thinking about that then, what is one thing that you could do to make the situations when it's worse, make them a little bit better? What's one thing? And so, what we want to do is put ourselves in situations where it's better and really manage the ones when it's worse. We can't control all the external factors that come into our lives at all, but we can respond differently to them, and we can kind of, we have got ownership over how we feel, how we respond, and so on. Manage your time. Stop saying yes to everything. Manage your time so you actually have time to do things. Yeah, great. Okay. We're going to do a little bit more tapping now. We're going to get a little bit deeper, kind of using some of these things that have come up for us. Jennifer, change my thoughts. My family and friends want to help. Yeah. Okay. So when you think about something like change my thoughts, think a step almost a step closer to where you are. Like, what would you need to do in order to change your thoughts? Because that's kind of an outcome. So what would be an action that would help you to get there? And again, just kind of make a note of it. And just now, and this is where it will be, this would definitely be really helpful for me if any of you can drop it in the chat, because it makes sure that I can kind of tailor a little bit what we're talking about. But just think about when you have these feelings, and whether it's that feeling of frustration, demotivation, whatever it is, when you're in your own way and you know that you've got a thing to do and you're not doing it, where do you feel that in your body? Just like take a minute to pay attention to where it shows up. And if you can describe it even better, sometimes we can kind of see almost like an energy. Sometimes we can see shapes. We can see pictures depending on what it is. Okay, someone's feeling it in their chest. Great. Okay, anyone else feeling it anywhere? Sometimes we can feel it in our throats, in our chest, tightness in our shoulders, in our stomachs, perhaps. I've got lots of can't stop thinking about it. Shoulders, okay. In my stomach, like a sucker punch. Yeah, ouch. Okay. So we're gonna do a little bit more. I'm gonna do a little bit more tapping now. So we're gonna come back to that sore spot here. I'm just gonna rub here gently. Just connecting with this feeling. So what we're doing, what we do so much of the time is we don't allow ourselves to feel our feelings. I'm a very big fan of feeling your feelings. We don't let ourselves feel things which we consider negative or bad. We kind of shy away from them, and because we're taught from quite a young age that certain emotions are not ones that we're meant to feel. Like anger is bad, don't be sad, crying is, you're too sensitive, whatever it might be. And as we get older, that only gets worse. So allow yourself to just acknowledge this way that you're feeling. Where are you feeling it? Acknowledge that emotion, and we're going to just allow it space. Just as you gently massage this little sore spot here. Just allowing it space. And this is the first step to actually letting things go and to moving past them, is like knowing they're there. You can't clean a house if you can't see where it's dirty. Somebody said that, and I don't know who they are, but so yeah, just pay attention, see what it is, and then you're just going to repeat after me. And again, you're just going to tailor this to whatever's going on with you right now based on what we've kind of been working through. Even though I get in my own way by procrastinating, cleaning the house, doing all of the other jobs I need to do, ignoring it, saying yes to everything, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though I worry I'll always be getting in my own way, and I worry I'll always be feeling, just say how you're feeling. When it comes to, and what is it that when it comes to work, when it comes to my book, I am deserving of love and respect. And I accept myself anyway. Even though maybe I have a good reason for feeling like this. Maybe I have a good reason for getting in my way. It still makes me feel frustrated, demotivated, angry, sad, annoyed. Let's say out what that feeling is, and the more emotion you put into it, the better. I love and accept myself anyway. I'm just going to tap through the points again. Feeling like I'm in my own way. And it makes me feel frustrated, demotivated, whatever it is. And I feel it in say where in your body you feel it. I feel it in my stomach, I feel it in my chest, I feel it in my body, this feeling. And I just keep getting in my own way. And it's so much worse when, just say when it's worse. And I just can't seem to stop it. And I just end up freezing, procrastinating, doing too much, just say what it is that you end up doing. Just focus on the wrong things. And then I just don't get anywhere. I don't get it done. I'm so over it. I'm so frustrated. I just don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm ready to stop being in my own way. I'm ready to stop this feeling in my stomach, in my chest. I don't need that anymore. I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for change. I'm ready to let go of this from my, just say what part of your body you feel that, from my stomach, from my chest, wherever. I'm ready for that to start going now. I'm ready to stop stopping myself. I'm ready to feel different. I'm ready to support myself. And I'm really open to feeling that way now. I'm letting this go. Just take another deep breath. Just tap into how you're feeling. Just see if anything came up. Sometimes what we find is we start going a little bit deeper. We might have memories flash up. We'll have a random thought of a thing that happened this one time that doesn't necessarily seem connected, but might be. We might feel a little bit different in our bodies. So just like zone in and just see if you feel anything different when you think about that kind of feeling. Has it changed at all? And just, drop that in the chat. Feel relaxed now. Taryn, that's great. Well, hopefully a bit more relaxation coming as well. Take you down to even deeper level. Okay, great. Ebony also relaxed. Okay. So now we've kind of cleared a little bit of the sort of initial mist that sits in our way. I want you now to think about what's the belief that's behind the feeling? What's the belief behind the action? So, when I'm in my own way and I feel frustrated, what's actually like going on underneath? So Jennifer mentioned, so coming back around, Jennifer, to what you said about feeling, I'm afraid that my book won't be good enough. So what is the thing that's kind of sitting there underneath it, if you think about that? And again, just drop that in the chat if you're happy to. Fear of not understanding. Okay. So Ebony, when you think about fear of not understanding, is there then an additional layer underneath that of the impact to you of not understanding? People have told me all my life that I won't succeed, and I believe them. Okay. Taryn, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry that you've not been fully supported in the way that we all deserve to be. This is a really important thing that kind of comes up. So these are limiting beliefs, right, that we hold on to. So I won't succeed, I'm not good enough. These all are formed over a really long period of time. They usually start when we're very, very young. Sometimes they'll come from later, but more often than not, even things that come up later are things which remind us of things that happened when we were a child. These can be from, so per Taryn's experience, it can be from people who are in authoritative roles in our lives, who are there for people to kind of support us. If they tell us certain things, we are kind of programmed to believe them, because we're programmed to, if an adult tells us that we're not to walk out past that bush because we might get eaten by a tiger, we're programmed to take that in because that keeps us safe. So when an adult tells us something from quite a young age, we take that in as a truth. And it isn't a truth, but that's what happens in our subconscious. It's like, oh, this is okay, that's what this is. And what happens then is that, like, our subconscious kind of kicks in and starts going, well, you can't try and do that thing because we're not going to succeed. It's not going to be possible. So we can't try at it. We're going to stop ourselves, even if we really want to do it. And this is where, like, really getting in and unpacking that subconscious programming is incredibly important, because that's the thing that is getting in the way. Jennifer says, I don't have a degree and feel that I lack education. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the I lack education, that's the kind of limiting belief that kind of sits in underneath that. And, you know, so thinking about where that has come from, you know, where do we learn that we must have an education in order to have a degree in order to have that acceptable level of education? That's the thing that we've learned from somewhere. It's just kind of tapping into where that might be coming from. And just, like, if there's any time that comes up as I say it, and, you know, what I say to all my clients is, like, the first answer is usually the right one. So don't overthink this when I ask these questions. Just whatever it is that comes up for you, just go with that to start with. When did this first come up for you? And, like, can you remember a time when this wasn't there? What sort of age were you when this belief, this fear started cropping up? Very young, probably 12-ish. Mm-hmm. 9-ish, yeah. So, like, such formative ages for a lot of this kind of stuff. Okay, and just think, is it connected to a particular person? Jeff says, when applying for jobs after a 30-year career in the public service, age 55. Okay. So Jennifer, what I'd like you to do is think about, is there something that it reminds you of that's older? So what can sometimes happen is we'll be going through a particular situation in our current lives, and there might be nothing like that from when we were younger, but actually on a subconscious level, it's kind of reminding us of something. Just see if anything comes up, and it's okay if it doesn't, because as we go through a little bit more of this, like, our subconscious mind kind of takes over and does a little bit of the work for us. But yeah, just see if anything else kind of comes up for it. Think also about, like, is any of this connected to a particular person? So is there one person over another who connects with this feeling? There might not be one, but just see if something comes up. See if you have a particular memory that comes up, just like one particular incident of hearing something from somebody or witnessing something. And again, it's completely okay if you don't have anything. So just pay attention to that. Just notice also, like, how intense that feels for you right now when you think about it. And we're just going to do some more tapping. We're going to go a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to come back to the source spot. We'll just start rubbing here again. Even though I've got this memory or this belief of, just say what it is. And maybe it's been with me for a long time. and it's become something that I believe to be true. I love and respect myself anyway. Even though I've got this belief of, just say what that deep held belief is. That's still with me. And now, as a result, and say out loud what impact that's having. It's stopping me from, it's holding me back from, it's getting in my way, whatever it is. I love and respect myself anyway. Even though I've got this belief that's probably been with me for a long time, I'm open to letting it go and replacing it with something new. We just start tapping. This belief that I have, I might not even remember where it came from, but it's with me and it's stayed with me. And it's been with me all this time. This belief that isn't actually true. This belief has been holding me back. It's been getting in my way. I've been getting in my way. But it's the belief that's been getting in my way, really. There's become a pattern now of believing things about myself, believing them to be true. Maybe that I can't do this. Maybe that I'm afraid. Maybe that I need to be perfect. Maybe that I'm not good enough. And it's still holding me back. I just can't seem to make it stop. Can't seem to find it in me to break this cycle. This habit I formed of getting in my own way. I don't think I know how to stop. And maybe there's a part of me that doesn't want it to stop. Maybe there's a part of me that is trying to keep me safe. It's a part of me trying to keep me safe, but it's also keeping me stuck. It's keeping me stuck with this feeling. But I wonder how true this feeling is, how true this belief is. I wonder how true it is that I can't just say out loud what it is, that I can't finish the book, that I won't get a publisher, that I lack education because I don't have a degree. Say whatever it is. I wonder how true that is. And what if I could actually let it go? What if I could break this cycle? What if I could decide it wasn't true for me anymore from right now? Maybe I don't have to believe it anymore from right now. Maybe I can choose to think something new, to believe something new. Maybe change that negative pattern for a positive one. Maybe I could start supporting myself instead of stopping myself. Could start seeing potential instead of pitfalls. I think I could get used to how that feels. To have that positive belief. And believe in myself and support myself. To know that I'm enough. Okay, just take another nice deep breath. And just let that go. And just, like I say, tap in again to how you're feeling. Has anything changed? As I said before, did anything come up? Is there anything kind of new? Do you feel differently? Just anything you want to add? Okay, we're now going to switch our focus onto really bringing in more positive feelings. So, you know, those feelings of clarity, of releasing. So it says standing up for myself, being heard would be positive. Great. Yeah, we're going to move a little bit into kind of bringing in the sort of more positive feeling and really kind of aligning ourselves with that. So think now, how do you want to feel about tackling the stuff that you have to do? How do you want to feel about it? And just again, drop that into the chat. I want to wake up excited for the day ahead, Taryn. Yeah, great. Okay, brilliant. I want to feel unstoppable. Oh, Jennifer, I love that. See, the thing is, you are unstoppable because it's at the moment, it's only been, it's only been you that's stopping you. And just imagine if you're just like, if you imagine that subconscious mind of yours just taking a step to the side, so you've got a clear path, that's unstoppable. Okay, so just zoning in on like what that desirable feeling is. Just gonna, again, start here. We're just gonna give some space to that before we finish up. Even though I've had this understandable feeling, this understandable worry that's been holding me back, that I've been holding me back, I choose to feel, see how you choose to feel, unstoppable, excited. Even though I often stop myself from succeeding by, and say what it is that you do. I choose to be unstoppable. I choose to wake up excited. Even though I've been feeling like, just say how you've been feeling. I've been feeling frustrated, like I can't get it done, like I'm overwhelmed, whatever it might be. I choose to feel, say how you choose to feel. I like unstoppable. I choose to feel unstoppable. I'll just start tapping. I've had this feeling holding me back, getting in my way. It's keeping me stuck. This old belief that's here because, just say why you think it's there. It's been with me a long time. maybe secretly serving me, maybe keeping me stuck. But I'm ready to believe I'm unstoppable. I'm ready to support myself. I'm choosing to feel excited. I'm choosing to feel like it's all possible. And really feel that excitement. I can really feel that starting to move through my body. This excitement, this possibility. I'm choosing this possibility. I'm choosing this feeling of excitement. That's what's going to serve me. It makes me feel really happy. I can really feel it in my body. I feel the excitement just fizzing around. Maybe I can feel myself smiling a little bit as I think about what I could do, what I'm going to do next. Now we're just going to start tapping on, see, like on the flat of your hand between your ring finger and your pinky finger. You're just going to tap on the flat of your hand and just go with me. This bit sometimes feels a bit weird, but we're going to basically bring in all the different parts of our brain together. And that's going to help kind of embed this new belief. So as we tap on the flat of our hand, your eyes are open. Now you're going to close your eyes. Then you're going to open your eyes again. You're going to look right down to the bottom corner of the room. And you're going to do the same on the other side. So down to the left-hand side, right down into the bottom corner. Now you're going to roll your eyes in a really big circle one direction, roll in a really big circle the other direction. I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We hum a bar of happy birthday. And we count to 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go back to tapping. I'm unstoppable now. I feel ready for what I'm going to do next. I feel excited. I know I can do this now. I can feel it in my whole body. I'm really excited. Because I know I'm unstoppable. And I know I can do this. Okay, just take a nice deep breath. And let that go. And just, again, tap into how you feel. See if anything has come up. I'm aware we're like pretty much a minute to go, but if anyone's got any questions, do drop them in, or if anybody feels any differently, I would love to know. I'm going to drop in my details to the chat so you can all do it. Okay, someone in the Q&A says feeling a bit more able. Okay, that's great. So I've dropped all of my details in there. I've got a free tapping video on my website, which is around particularly kind of anxiety and releasing stress and tension. Yep, Taryn, I've dropped website into the chat box, so you can grab it there. I think that should have, did that work? Yeah. So you can find me on all the channels. You can drop me an email if you want to chat. I do work for individuals, and I also do work for organizations. I run workshops for businesses. So if you or your team are interested in finding out more about how you could use EFT in particular in a work scenario, but also if you're interested in clarity coaching or any kind of strategic support to help with well-being, then those are my details. You can get in touch. Thank you all for being here in the middle of the day. Appreciate it. I hope you're all feeling good and that you've got a bit of feeling a little bit of potential and possibility. EFT is a little bit of a practice, so you know it's a good thing to kind of keep coming back to over time. Jennifer's feeling chilled. Great. I'm glad to hear it. I'm hopefully feeling unstoppable too. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks very much for sharing what's been going on with you guys. Yeah, and good luck.